The Aston Martin Virage was introduced as a replacement for the Aston Martin V8 models. It was joined by a high-performance Vantage in 1993. And this video is about redesigning the Vantage, rebodying this car as if it were a coach-built project by Niels Verrooy Design. The model was intended as the company's flagship, with the 6-cylinder DB7 introduced in 1994 positioned below it as an entry-level model. Although the DB7 became available with a V12 engine later, it would take up until 1999 before it had that V12 fitted. And the Virage remained the exclusive, high-end, expensive, hand-built flagship of the Aston Martin lineup. It was replaced in 2000 with the rather iconic Vanquish. Back to the Virage. The development of the new model was very much done on a tight budget. The headlights, for instance, they came from the Audi 200. The taillights, Volkswagen Scirocco. The door handles are Jaguar, inside the stalks were GM, and the other bits, buttons, switches, etc. were from Ford, which was Aston Martin's parent company at the time. In 1992 the Virage got a convertible version, named the Volante. The Virage shooting brake, the Virage Saloon and the Virage 5-door shooting brake, or Estate, were also launched in 1992. The shooting brake version of the Virage was offered in very limited numbers. It was first presented in 1992 on the Geneva Motor Show, and unlike any prior Aston Martin shooting brake models, the Virage was produced in-house by the company's works service. Like the base car Virage, these cars are rather striking but not exactly harmonious. More about the how and why of these aesthetics and what we could do to improve them a little bit later in this video. Later on, the Vantage would have its own shooting brake too. It was called the Sportsman. Having started its life as a 1996 V8 coupe, this car was then converted by Aston Martin to the Sportsman Estate body style. Only two were made, specially ordered by two brothers in Switzerland, with both cars actually leaving the factory as a standard left-hand drive V8 coupe, only to get homologated before making the trip back again to the factory for an extensive conversion job. Then, to make it even more confusing, there is the 1999 Aston Martin V8 V600 shooting brake by Roos Engineering. They built the also Vantage-based shooting brake as a one-off for a German customer. All these cars show one thing: how hard it is to actually create a consistent design based upon an existing car. They are not overly pleasing to the eye. Without further ado, let's get back to the Vantage and let's go to our redesign. The Vantage pretty much eclipsed the Virage from the collective memory, and it's not too difficult to see why, because it's more hardcore, it's more outspoken in every single way, and it even ended up becoming the most powerful production car at the world at one point. Today we're looking at rebodying the Vantage. So basically this is already a rebodied car in a way. It's the Virage on steroids. Let's first analyze the base car, the vehicle we're actually going to sketch over. It is perhaps an interesting car, it's an impressive car, but it's not necessarily overly pretty or well resolved. I'll show you why. There are quite a few issues actually, so where to start? Well, let's start here with the general proportions. We've got a body that is relatively heavy, relatively square. There's nothing wrong necessarily with a heavy body, but there is something wrong with inconsistency in that body. For instance, have a look at the surfacing. The skin of the car, you can see the highlight running there, it breaks here. It breaks on that shut line, meaning that the skin of the door is different compared to the skin of the fender in front of it. And it's nice obviously if the fenders come out a bit, so you have that Coke bottle shape, but it shouldn't break on the shut line. These are two different languages basically. Then there is this piece of Tupperware hanging underneath the car, just again going nowhere. There's this bit of surfacing there that points that direction, but there's nothing picking it up because this highlight is too high. And that shut line there is of completely different shape. And then moving to the nose, we have similar issues where consistency is just nowhere to be found. Look at how the sill here is running underneath the car softly. And then look at what happens in front of the front wheel. There's a completely different flow of lines. There's nothing that takes that bit of surfacing towards that direction or the other way around, that surfacing towards the front. And then let's have a look at the nose, because the issues are very much present here as well. We've got weak surfacing that sort of blobs around the corner here. We've got inconsistency with regards to curves and curvature. We've got a grille that doesn't really sit nicely on the bumper. The headlights sit nicely. They're nice and straight like the bumper is straight. But if we look at what happens to the grille, it's sort of saggy. Graphics don't line up. This doesn't go anywhere, just ends up somewhere here in the headlight. And then this one, more or less the same, ends up in the middle of nowhere. A lot of details, a lot of elements, but not one cohesive, beautiful, consistent piece of design. And that's what we're going to change with this rebody. So like always, we're starting with simply sketching over the car. It helps to get an idea of the shapes of the car, to see what is good and perhaps what is not so good. By blocking in these surfaces, these lines, these volumes, you get a bit of a feel of the design of the car, and with that a feel of what could be improved, without losing the essentials, without losing the character that makes this British brute so unique. So you see the main graphics like the headlights, the indicators, the wheel wells and the windows are now being drawn in. We make the wheels a bit bigger. Obviously car designers love bigger wheels, but there's a good reason for it. This car really has wheels that are a bit too small, specifically if we want to take it a bit more into the future. So what we see are bigger wheels. They improve the way they sit inside of the body of the car and the way they sit inside of the wheel wells. So instead of looking like a large SUV with a lot of gap between the tire and the fender, they're now nicely embedded in the design of the car. They're also a little bit more outwards, so the car has a better stance, it looks sportier, it looks better, and it's obviously better for handling too. So now we're trying to get in the graphics, and consistency again is the magic word here. So the same design in a way as the outlines of the headlights, you will now see below the headlights as air intakes, but also on the side as an air vent. And with a strong facette pushed into the door, you create a bit more length without having a fade out onto the door, which is what you see a lot. But because this is this brute, this rough, squarish car, I wanted to continue that roughness into the surfacing of that side vent. So you have the hole in the fender and then a bit of surfacing going over the door, which actually has a facette running around. So on the front you see these graphics that line up with the headlights, that line up with the grille. The holes themselves are not a whole lot bigger, again because the technology will prevent you from doing that. Everything that's underneath that bumper, like crash structures. So we cannot just open up a bumper, but what we can do is giving the suggestion of an open up bumper. So you see specifically the air intake in the middle is really growing towards the grille. And there's a large surface going into the bumper, making the suggestion visually of a way bigger intake. It casts a bit of shadow, looks more three-dimensional, because it is. It goes into the car nicely, and then all the surfacing elements like the corners of the grille are now consistent with the corners of the headlights. The headlights we didn't change for obvious reasons, but the grille has this nice, more planted feel. It's more horizontal, and it matches, it lines up exactly with that large intake underneath. So we're finalizing the car now. We've got these large generous fender flares that run subtly into the body all the way from front to back. Then we've got a little bit more crisp, so a little bit more sharp, a little bit more outspoken fender facets. So these facets that run around the wheel before the fender flare itself starts. Again, this makes the car a bit more planted, a bit more modern. It emphasizes the wheels a little bit more and it just looks better. A last few details now. For instance, the highlight that is running through the wheels on the front is a bit too big. I really try to keep that in because it's something very typical for that day and age, but it just looked a bit lost there. And like I said, consistency and a good flow of lines was important. So in the end, I made that highlight a lot smaller and made it actually run not just right in front and right after the front wheel, but make it all the way across the sill and go towards the front and point towards the air vent in the bumper. Then we're putting in a grille. We're putting in lower grills as well. Again, this is simple. We take it from the internet. This is not the time where we're going to sketch this all out, because this is material we can find online, and this is about speed, generating fast ideas efficiently for either your design director or your client. The shoulder is made a little bit more crisp as well. So just a little bit more pronounced, a bit more precise, and way more in one piece. So front fender over the door towards the rear fender is now one structural piece of design. So we flip the sketch a few times just to see if the perspective is still right. And you can really see it coming together now. It's way more consistent. It has the same character as the original had. It has a lovely stance, a better stance because of these bigger wheels, bigger wheel wells, more pronounced fender flares because of that facet running around. And now it's just about creating the last little details and making sure the gloss of the body is nice, so there's a bit more contrast in the body. That's what we're working on now, getting that high gloss and that shadow versus highlight side. There's an emphasis on the corner that you see most closely. So think of any painter. Everything that's far away is a bit more gray. Everything that's closer by has more detail and has higher highlights, stronger shadows. So you see in these car sketches as well, everything that's further away from the viewer, so the right hand side of the car and also the left hand side of the nose, that's a bit more subdued. And the real color is actually only in the element that is closest to the viewer, which is around the headlight and the front wheel. And all the way towards the back, it's then faded out. Thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed watching it. I enjoyed designing this lovely Brute Aston Martin. Please like the video and I'll see you next time for the next video coming out very soon. Cheers!